do not come to our country illegally. You will be removed and you will be prosecuted. But know that this facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use if you commit crimes against the American people.
That Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem inside what can only be described as a very tough, some would call it notorious, El Salvadoran prison, where right now Venezuelans deported by the Trump administration are being held. Vanessa Cardenas is here now. She is the executive director of America's Voice, which advocates for undocumented immigrants and for immigration reform. So I'd like to ask your opinion, first of all, of what we just saw, the visuals there, because what governments say and what they do is really important, but where they say it and the backdrop they have also can sometimes matter. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Well, I think that this really sends a chilling message in terms of what our government is trying to do and is actually doing. And it is sending the message that they're willing to violate our civil liberties and using sort of this invasion rhetoric to go after immigrants, including legal immigrants who are here legally, and send them to a prison in another country, a prison that's known for its human rights violations and for its effort to be as brutal and as cruel as possible. So I think this is an alarming sign, another sign in the escalation of the Trump administration's efforts to go after the immigrant community.
What are your baseline legal concerns, Vanessa, about the process by which those Venezuelans accused of being gang members, though it is not clear all of them are, were sent to El Salvador? What are your basic legal concerns about that process? And what do you see going forward from that process?
Listen, there are many concerns. First of all, the government has not provided proof that many of these people that were sent, the Venezuelans that were sent, were actually criminals or had a criminal record. So I think that is incredibly problematic that the government is picking up people, not only not giving them access to our lawyer and respecting their due process, but also not providing any evidence that these are in fact people with criminal records. So that's one. I think, again, sending them to a prison in another country is very unprecedented and sort of using the playbook of using this invasion rhetoric to go after people with no criminal record. I think what we hope to see is for this administration to stop using these tactics, to respect the rule of law, to make sure that, if they're going to go after people, that they have to show evidence that, in fact, those accused have actual criminal records. So I think that there's a lot that this administration is doing that's super harmful, and it's not the only example, right? They're also going after legal residents in the U.S., and we had also several cases, especially of college students who are being detained, who are being arrested, who are in the process now of fighting their deportation proceedings. So there's a bunch of, again, examples of how this administration is violating our civil liberties and constitutional rights.
Vanessa, I want to quote for you something that the Secretary of State Marco Rubio said today when asked about not only the student at the University of Alabama, but other students, Columbia University, detained by ICE because they were activists in this country. He said, and I quote, "Every time I find one of these lunatics, I take away their visa," saying that it is, quote, "crazy and stupid for any country not to revoke visas for college students who come to the country to agitate or become social activists." Your reaction?
Well, listen, I think that America is known as a country that respects our freedoms and that a constitutional right that we have is freedom of speech. I think the idea that a young person cannot exercise the freedom of speech is a very dangerous message that our Secretary of State is sending. I understand that there are people that should not be here because they have committed crimes. I understand that needs to happen, but the government should be able to provide proof of what crimes people have committed for the government to take away the rights and the liberties for the government to go into people's neighborhoods and with people in masks and abducting. In the case of the tough student, a young woman, and put her in an unmarked car. So I think our government cannot hide behind the words that Rubio is saying. We have to have evidence of people actually doing wrongdoing if we are going to be implementing these very extreme measures.
Vanessa Cardenas with America's Voice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.